Hey guys, Jeff at Sega Replay here. Today we've got the English translated manual for Psychic Killer Taromaru. I think I'm saying that right, but if I'm not, you can correct me in the comments. This was a very interesting translation. Definitely the most difficult I've ever done, even though the manual itself wasn't terribly long. But it used this conversational Japanese style throughout the entire manual. Made it really difficult for a native English speaker to get the meaning of, so it took a lot of extra time and research to make sure I was getting it correct. So anyways, we'll get started. This is a custom cover that I did for it, and it's a Time Warner game, so we've got Time Warner up there instead of Sega, as you would see on the other normal boxes. I try to keep them as accurate as what they would have looked like as possible. On the back here, I estimated it at a teen rating since it was never released in the US. I kind of got to put my best judgment on that. But I thought the custom back here I did, I personally liked it. I thought it turned out pretty good, so I hope you guys like it too. I'll show you the insides. This is the custom discard I made for it. Again, tried to estimate what it might have looked like had it come out in the US and go with the standard US disc format. Set that aside. If you've seen me do any of these other videos, you'll notice that when I'm wearing these gloves, it can be hard to turn these thin pages. So if you're wondering why I'm kind of struggling, that's what it is, these gloves. So anyways, here we got Psychic Killer Taromaru. Alright, and just like I said, it's hard to open with these gloves on, but I don't like to put my fingerprints on somebody else's product. The border on this is based on the Japanese manual. It's not exactly the same, but it's very close to what was used in the Japanese manual. I went with that theme, though a lot of everything else is kind of custom, but I did try to get the feel of it. Yeah, here's the story, prologue, spiritual curse, exterminator. There were so many different ways that could have been translated. I tried to get as best I could right. Sure of possession, again, something else that it was difficult to. I had to do a little research into what they were trying to mean with it, and I really went back to Japanese mythology. So it was kind of interesting. I learned a little bit about Japanese mythology. And you may have seen that I recently played this on the channel, and I actually did that because I was trying to figure some of the controls out because it wasn't clear from the manual, because again, the conversational language. So I had to actually play the game, which I planned to play it all the way through. Just my time is limited. I can only play so many games at once. I always try to make the center of the manual something special because, that's the part where the manual opens fullest, and it's going to naturally open that way because that's where it's, the scene is. So I always try to make these a little extra nice. It's the only time you get the two full pages together, and I try to make them look good. So this was interesting. Again, I mentioned the manual is all done conversationally. Well, there's this point in there where they have like a faux newspaper with faux reports of what's going on in the city. And it's meant to introduce you to the different levels and enemies. So I kind of had to figure out a way to make this work in a way that would be understandable for us. I did end up going with the news. I changed the font and everything and tried to make it into the Edo Gazette. They had an Edo something or other, I can't remember, in the original manual. Something different that wasn't as a common word that you would see in the English-speaking countries. So I it was Gazette because most people will understand that a Gazette is a newspaper. Here I am again, fumbling around with the pages. I promise you it's not difficult if you don't have gloves on. It's the gloves that make it difficult. More of the Gazette. It's neat though, because it does tell you about and I tried to include some of the humor because there was a lot of humor in this manual. Some of it was in places and in forms that wouldn't make sense to an English speaker or make sense to the modern age, if that makes sense. It was definitely 90s humor. I tried to convey it where appropriate. but some of the places they had the humor in got old, I guess. So I went more formal in certain places, but so this is interesting. Here is a little interview with the project leader. I thought it was kind of neat. It's more like a conversation about how they got into video games. I thought it was cool. And then the art director put this little comic in. Really doesn't have anything to do with the game itself, even though it takes place in a time period. It's just a little funny comic. Again, I tried to there's not much text, but it kind of didn't make sense just reading it. So I had to do a little to make that make sense to a English speaker. And I took that from that's from the intro in the game. So yeah, there we go. Psychic Killer Taromaru. I hope you guys enjoy. It was a lot of time and effort went into this one. I think it was worth it in the end. I certainly hope you guys do as well. Thank you for watching.
Get your own copy for only $19.99 at segareplay.com/go/Taromaru.